Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah namaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa a'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Ya man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. Ya ayyuhan nasu taqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahidatin wa khalaqa minha zawjaha wa batha minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisaa wa taqullaha alladhi tasaaluna bihi wa arhama inna Allaha kana alaykum raqiba. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida yuslih lakum a'malakum wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum wa may yuti lillahi wa rasulahu faqad faza fawzan azim. Amma ba'd. Praise be to Allah. We seek His help and His forgiveness. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil of our own souls and from our bad deeds. Whomsoever Allah guides will never be led astray, and whomsoever Allah leads astray, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is nothing worshiped except Allah. He is one, and Allah has no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad is a servant and messenger. O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except as Muslims. O mankind, fear your Lord, who created you from one soul and created from it His mate and His birth from both of them many men and women. And fear Allah, through whom you ask one another your mutual rights, and do not cut the relations of the wombs. Indeed, Allah is an ever watcher over you. O you who believe, fear Allah and speak the truth. He will annul your deeds and forgive you your sins, and whoever obeys Allah and His messenger has certainly attained a great achievement. Amma ba'd. Inna khayrul hadithi kitabullah wa khayrul hadi Muhammadin wa shururul umuri muhdathatuha wa kullu muhdathatin bid'ah wa kullu bid'atin dalalah wa kullu dalalatin finnar. Indeed, the best hadith is the book of Allah. The best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the worst of matters are those innovated by the people, and every innovated matter is a bid'ah, and every bid'ah is astray, and every going astray is in the fire. Amma ba'd. I pray to Allah and forgive our sins from the last Jummu'ah, and to forgive us our sins from this one to the next. And as you know, here, Jummu'ah has always been part of the curriculum here at Al-Idrisi Academy. This khutbah is going to be discussing in terms of the current events from me, kind of based on that. My title did Vanity Rising, the Muurish Awakening. All of Billahi Minas Shaitan Arjim Bismillah Rahim. Truth has come and falsehood has vanished. Indeed, falsehood is ever bound to vanish. And that's in Surah Al-Isra, also called Bani Israel. That's the 17th Surah, and that's the 81st ayat. So Allah says that when truth comes, falsehood cannot stand against truth. In another ayat, Allah tells about the truth coming, and it knocks the brains out of falsehood, or knocks it on its head. And the brains is usually where we process the information, process everything that we're doing. And it knocks out the whole entire process of falsehood. So falsehood is something that cannot stand against the truth. The truth can stand on its own, but falsehood cannot stand against the truth. So what we find today is people protesting all around the world. That is bigger than just the death of George Floyd, but it's the culmination of the factors which are of injustice. Though the process is necessary, to protest, the emotions, that everybody's feeling worldwide, that alone is not going to win the day. The system that a lot of people are calling for the system to change, but in reality, the system is collapsing because the system was built upon falsehood. So the system is collapsing. So we don't need to change the system because it's collapsing. Just like a house. If there was a house and the house was collapsing, you wouldn't say, okay, let's go fix the house. You'd have to knock it down. You have to get rid of it and build something, much better and stronger. But we find that the system today that we live is a system of oppression, and we've studied how that system came about. It uses race as the structure of the system. The system itself is racist, only to the extent that the race is a tool of the system. Racism is a tool of that system. So we find that also in this country, when I was younger, the same thing was happening. There was total national unrest. There was worldwide unrest. Then some of the situations were a little bit different, but the whole gist of it was due to racism, due to oppression of people, of humanity. Now back during that time, nationally they had the Vietnam War. Of course, they had the Civil Rights Movement. Where our people were trying, to get our civil rights. We're trying to down here, right here in the South, they had they say colored fountains and restrooms, and white fountains and restrooms, and it was segregation. That system had to go. And around the world, countries were fighting against colonialism. So this happened 50 years ago. You find in the history, as it's a cycle. It goes around and around. This is the way Allah created things. It's cycles. Like the earth going around the sun. Like you see the hands of the clock, why the clock is going in circles. You have the same time each day, but it's always a different day. You have the cycle of the year, the cycle of the month, the cycle of the week. Things are happening in cycle. You're coming right back to the same thing, but then we come back to it, it's like on a different level. And that's the same thing that happened. You see the events in this country, of social upheaval. Every 50 years is a cycle of national social upheaval. But that's why when I was a child, I was seeing these same things. Some 50 years ago, I was seeing the same thing. And 50 years before that, you had social upheaval. During that time, you had the rise of black nationalism with the Garvey movement. You had the Moorish Science Temple came about. You had a lot of movements coming about out of that upheaval. But during that time, you had where the unrest was caused by so-called white people who felt that the darker people who were moving into the northern cities, it was called the Great Migration, and a lot of our would be a great grandparents' generation, great great grandparents' generation, were moving up north, and the whites that had came in from Europe, during the turn of the century, were feeling threatened, and they were the ones going around looting and destroying black communities and so forth. Very famously, you had the community in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Tulsa, Oklahoma was a Black Wall Street. Black people were very prosperous, but then the so-called white population destroyed that. Even bombing it from the air. That happened some 100 years ago. So we see every 50 years, and then 50 years before that, you had the Civil War, Reconstruction, and all that was going on. So you look back every 50 years, it seems to be some sort of a social upheaval, a social resetting. So I wanted to also go into, we mentioned in terms of racism, and racism is a process of applying racial classification upon humanity. Allah did not create, or did not create racism. He did not create that in the system of humanity. Humanity is one. We all come from Adam and Eve, and in Islam, Eve is called Hawa. We all come from two parents. That's what we're taught in Islam. The same that's taught in Christianity and Judaism is that we all come from two parents, and then we call them Adam and Eve. Now, the word Adam means dark skin. We know in the Quran that Adam was created from black mud fashioned in the shape of hammer. Hammer is a dark, sticky substance. Science proves that. And in science use what's called genetics. In genetics, if a person is dark skinned, brown eyes, a thick nose, thick lips, coarse hair, and that's called the dominant genes. Within the dominant genes, you also would have the recessive genes, which is the opposite, which makes a person with pale skin, blue eyes, narrow nose, narrow lips, and straight hair, straight blonde hair. That's the culmination of that, and everybody basically is one or the other, or a mixture of all of them. Because you have people that may have a thin nose and thin lips, and have dark skin and straight hair, for example. And like I said before, that two dark-skinned people can produce a child that's blue-eyed, pale-skinned, and blonde hair. Because within the gene pool, that they have the whole entire variation of humanity. And that's what Allah talks about in the Quran. That there's a sign in every single thing in terms of His creation of the tongues, different tongues and different languages. That's a sign from Allah. The sign that humanity is all one. So what you see today, you see people are all rising up. And it doesn't matter doesn't matter their ethnic group or this quote-unquote race or whatever, they're rising up. Because humanity's rising up against a system where somebody has put themselves in charge and saying, I'm better than you. That comes from shaitan. Because we know in the Quran that Allah teaches us about when He created Adam. And shaitan, he told the angels to bow down to Adam. You know, after He commanded Adam to tell the angels their names. The angels didn't know their names. But Iblis was among the angels. Iblis was not one of the angels, but Iblis was among the angels. And Iblis refused to bow down because Iblis was one of the jinn. And the jinn are created from smokeless fire, where man is created from mud. And Iblis was like, I'm not bowing down to anything created from mud. I'm better than him. And we see this attitude in the people, what we would call white supremacy, saying, I'm better than him. You know, the whole entire racial thing was built on that. It circles around white supremacy. But when we look at the racist system, again, it is a tool of commerce. It's a tool of economics by those who want to control humanity. It's called divide and conquer. So they'll label us as black. And black is an actual word. Be very, very surprised that the word black, the original word black, the etymology is the study of how the word came into being. And the word, any word that comes into being still has the frequency of when it came into being. But the word black says an etymology with the word bleach, blank, and blonde. The word black itself, when it came into being, meant pale. So the people that we actually are calling themselves white were actually the black people. Believe it or not. Pale. Black meant pale. When they put the K at the end of it, because it was really spelled B-L-A-C-C, when they put the K at the end of it, then it turned the word into a word that meant evil, dark, repugnant. And that was a direct insult to the people whom they called Moors. Because when we were referred to as Moors, we were in charge. The word we use, the etymology of the word M-U-U-R, is the original word that comes from the first civilization, the first people on the planet. Remember, I told you Adam means dark skin. The people on the planet were dark skinned. You can't have humanity, you can't start humanity with what they want to show you, a pale skinned Adam and Eve. That's a lie. That's falsehood. That's a lie. The truth is that Adam and Eve were dark-skinned because you can't start the human race with pale-skinned people. You can't start the human race with recessive genes. You have to start the human race with dominant genes, not recessive genes. So we understand that the truth is coming out now. We understand that we are Moors, not black people, because when they started defeating the Moors, they started the system with the Moors have established, which everything is based upon. Civilization is based upon the Moorish civilization, the entire civilization. But when they took it over and they supplanted us from being in charge, to make a long story short, they then designate us as black. First, black or more. They become to demonize us. Shaitan to them was depicted as a dark-skinned person with horns. And I'll tell you all the evidences as we're going on, in terms of our study. All the depictions. And it goes back to the point where the people whom we call white people today, or Caucasians, and why we call them Caucasians, is because They were a group of people whom is recognized in the scriptures, both the Quran and in the Bible, as Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog, you know, the story is in the Quran. That Dhul-Qarnayn meaning one, the possessor of two horns. And Dhul-Qarnayn was a dark-skinned person. And they were dark-skinned people living up during the Caucasus Mountains region that were called Colchians, which the Greek historian Herodotus said that they looked like Egyptians. So we have the word for them is gypsies. They're hated in Europe. They're now called the Roma people. But when I was growing up, they were called gypsies. So those were the people that told Dhul-Qarnayn that there was another people who couldn't understand a word. They couldn't understand the language. These people were causing mischief, and these people were locked in the Caucasus Mountains, and they were held there by the Colchians and by the forces of Dhul-Qarnayn. They were held there for maybe thousands of years. So they understood that before. And last khutbah I was separating the word God from Allah. We understand that God, you understand that God was not, is in Allah two different things. That God, Goddess, and gods were all words that came, that was equivalent to the words Neter, Neteru. Neter is where we get the word nature from. Neter, which is also pronounced Neter, is where we get the words Negus from. Negus was the king of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a word that was used by the Greeks to describe any place where dark-skinned people live. So the empire that we know at the point that we know as Ethiopia was an empire that stretched all the way into India, all the way to the Far East. The empire that we discussed in terms of what was called Egypt. They didn't call themselves Egypt, but Egypt is a word that's interesting that means black. But it stretched all the way to the known part of the world there. But when we understand the importance of us here in this country and what this stands for, America, not the name of a country. There's no country on earth called America. I'm going to say that again. There's no country on earth called America. It is the name of the continent. And I'm not just talking about North America as a continent. This is the northern portion of it. I'm talking about the entire landmass which stretches from the North Pole to the South Pole and all of the islands. You know, in the Caribbean and all off the coast of the landmass. That's America. And it was called America before Columbus even got here. So we got to understand what's going on today. When I'm talking about a Moorish awakening, we're awakening the fact that we're Moors. We're awakening the fact that this land was called Mu originally. And the Chinese still had called it Mu Land Pi. It was called Mu. And in this land was a land that's the old world. That pyramids and all that stuff that you see on Egypt and other parts of the world are younger than the pyramids and stuff that you see in this part of the world, that they are so old that they look like part of the landscape. So civilization started here and it started over there. And how we know this? Because the American Moor, which we call the black or African American, we gotta see that every single thing that we do, right, Look at the music. Look at the culture. You look at every single thing that we do. Everybody else follows. Everybody else follows us. So when we rise up, the world rises up. Right? When we invented hip hop, and I was there at the beginning, invented hip hop, the whole world is into it. Rock and roll, the whole world is into it. Jazz, the whole world is into it. When we high five and low five and everything like that, the whole world did it. We're still leading the world. We just have to realize who we are. Because even the word white meant illuminate. See, the light is white, right? Illuminate. It meant pure. It meant innocent. Our ancestors in Arabia had the color system. Now, it's not a racial system because you have different colors within your own family. You can bear witness to that. From darkest to lightest. The darkest people that they had, right? To describe the darkest people, they were called Akhdar. Akhdar means green. That we call today blue-black. That people are so dark they have kind of a bluish shine. They're so dark. Then Aswad, which today we would call jet black. And I actually only seen 3 black people in my life. For real. That skin color was so dark that they could be actually called black. Aswad. Aswad is where you get the word Sudan. Aswad is where you get the word salty. Now, also, you had the next darkest people was called Utma Atim. Utma means Adam. Atim means very or strongly. So they called somebody that was dark brown because Adam means brown. Adama is a verb that means to be brown. So Adam means brown. So they called somebody that was dark brown, very Adam. Very Adam. The next dark is they call Asma. That's kind of where most of us are. Brown. That's another word for brown. Asma. The people whom we call the Caucasians today, who we call quote unquote white people today, we're called Ahmar. Ahmar means red. It means red. They were called the red people. There is a hadith about the Prophet's last sermon where he said that there's no superiority of the Arab over the non-Arab or the non-Arab over the Arab. And a lot of translators refer to the next part when he says there's no superiority, they say over the black or the white. He didn't use the word white. He used the word Akmari. The Aswad over the Akmari. So he said there's no superior over the black over the red or the red over the black. Meaning that everybody is equal. You know, everybody has an equal opportunity to be a human being. You know, in every single society, there are heroes and there are villains. There are no group of people that you can say these people are evil and these people are good. But a lot of times we're taught, well, black people are good, white people are bad. White people are taught that white people are good and black people are bad. And then the powers that be play us against each other. That is not true. That's not how Allah created us. Allah created very many different variations. And you will find right within our own family we have variations. So the whole notion of race, like I said, it's only used for commerce. So it's just like how you would categorize commodities. How you have in the store, you say, okay, you know, the bath stuff is on this side, you know, the food stuff is on that side, and then you have all type of variations, right? The kitchen's over here, the stuff for hardware is over here, you know, and that's what they done. And it was Carolinians back around in the 1730s who codified this. You know, we learned how, you know, the classifications, you know, maybe some 100 years before came into being. Right? We learned that. But we understand that Carolinians, whose name was actually Carl von Linné, and he was a Swedish doctor of, he was like a plant doctor. He studied plants. He used the same reasoning or classification of plants and applied it to human beings. So that's how you end up getting the white European, the black African, the red American, the brown Malaysian, and the yellow Chinese from him. From him. Allah did not create that. Because in every single part of this globe, there are people of all different colors living everywhere. Don't get fooled by the TV, because they're going to show you only a certain section of people. Because like I showed you, it's a moral world after all. We're all over the planet. In every country, in every piece of the planet, are Moors, dark-skinned Aboriginal people. That's what we're waking up to. You know, so that's the bigger picture. So let me end the first part of the khutbah by saying, Aqulu kali hada wastaghfirullah li lakum. I say these words of mine, I ask Allah forgiveness of me and for you. Alhamdulillah wa salatu ala Rasulullah wa ala alayhi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Praise be to Allah who sent countless blessings on the messenger of Allah, his family, his companions, and onto their followers. So what's happening in this country, what's happening here in America, and probably throughout the world, but specifically, let's say specifically here in America, where we have been born and raised, where our ancestors have been born and raised for thousands of years. We're the original. When they say American, in the 1928 edition of the Webster's Dictionary, which was the first edition of that dictionary, it says American. It says the original copper-colored people that the Europeans found here now apply to the Europeans, descendants of the Europeans. So we're growing up thinking American means white, or the so-called white people. It doesn't mean that. We're the Americans, not African Americans. We're the Americans. Our people were born here. Before Columbus came, our ancestors were here. We have to wake up to that fact. You have to get rid of this falsehood. The falsehood is dying. You can't talk about changing a system, and the system is dead wrong. The system is upside down and inside out. That system has to go. In the nation, they said 100% dissatisfaction brings about 100% change. If you're still satisfied with the system and think you're going to vote somebody else in office, that ain't going to work. That ain't working. Because the entire system, the whole political system, is still based on commerce. Politicians are resource managers. So the people who are controlling the resource hire the politicians. They're not here for the people. Just like the police are not here for the people. The justice system is still based on commerce. When they talking about a docket and talking about a bench for the judge, these are legal terms. But these terms come from maritime law. When a ship comes into dock, that's why they call it a docket. It's based on maritime law. It's based on law of trading overseas, from trading a commodity to another port. From one port to another port. It's based on commerce. These are tools of commerce. So that's why you have a military industrialized complex. That's why you have a prison industrialized complex. You have a pharmaceutical, the drug industrialized complex. It's all about commerce. So what system got to go? Because this system is to take the poor, make people poor, take their resources, and take the resources of the poor and give it to the rich. The saying is the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So you fighting to change the system, all they're going to do is just shift it and just start using different words for the same thing. As the last poet says, the same game with another name. It will continue unless you understand what a law system is. A law is the establishment. Back in the 60s, they say, we're going against the establishment. They talking about the white power structure, the white establishment. We're going against the establishment. But a law is the establishment. A law establishes the system that we are supposed to live under. Where the poor gives, where the rich gives to the poor. If you're rich, you have an obligation to take care of the poor. But here they want to demonize Islam because they understand that Al-Islam is not a religion, it's a system. It's a system that Allah has established. Because Al-Islam has a religious component. This is what we call the 5 pillars. And religion is something that a person does, a ritual a person does at particular times. And what we do, especially in terms of the daily salah, it's just like a clock. You do the same thing every day at the same particular times. And this is where Allah teaches us doing the appropriate thing at the appropriate time. That's the system Allah created. It was in place before Rasulullah sallallahu, before 1400 years ago. It was in place with Isa alayhi, with Musa, with Ibrahim. It's called the religion of Ibrahim, or Millat of Ibrahim. Millat is a word that actually means in terms of the structure or the established. And some people say the creed of Ibrahim. That's what this is called. And this is called Al-Islam, which means submission to the will of Allah. It's submission and acknowledging what Allah has created. So in this country, what's happening in this hemisphere is that Allah is returning America back to the way it was before Columbus came, before the Colombian invasion. He's returning it back to the way it was. When we were free and we had possession of the land and we knew the land belonged to Allah. And some people may say, what are you talking about? Allah. Our ancestors were Muslims. There were Muslims here. Islam was established here. Before Columbus and that Christianity and that stuff came. Columbus on his way back to Spain passed by Cuba and saw a masjid on the top of the hill. So we gotta understand what this thing is about. Look at the bigger picture. You know, there's a whole entire history, the cycle of human events. It happens in cycles. That's why when we making rakats, we do it in cycles. We have to recognize that Allah created everything in cycles. It's going back to the way it was. We're going back from to being the Negroes and coons and you know the N-word and all that other stuff in color, going back to what we were, Moors. Going back to that. That's what's going on. So when truth comes, falsehood by its nature vanishes. It can't do nothing but vanish. If something is false, it's gone. After a while, it'll pop up there and fall to pieces. It's gone. It's finished. So, and look up on here. Any benefits you receive in this khutbah is from Allah, Allah alone. Any mistakes, errors, or omissions from me alone. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin. Come slave of Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim in al Masjid. Allahumma barik Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin. Come barak Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim in al Masjid. Allah send upon Muhammad and upon the family of Muhammad, and prayers upon Muhammad, upon the family of Muhammad. We send prayers upon Ibrahim and upon the family of Ibrahim. You are indeed worthy, your praise full of glory. Allah send your blessings upon Muhammad and upon the family of Muhammad, that you send blessings upon Ibrahim and upon the family of Ibrahim. You are indeed worthy, praise and full of glory. And come to Salah. Chances are offering Salat al Jummu'ah too, because far from effective. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah I, Ar-Rahman Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. ذلك الدين وذلك الذي يطغى اليتيم ولا يخوض ولا طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ينامون معون الله أكبر سيدنا محمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Malik Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allahu Akbar. Sami liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.